Hello, and welcome to a long overdue edition of Film Geek Corner. I'm Brian Hussar, as usual, and thank you for all sticking with me. This corner of my YouTube channel I've been trying to find ways of doing. Is there a way should I tie this into the Beatles stuff that I do, the music stuff that I do? And you know what, I decided I'm not going to. And I'd like to give a shout out to Culture Dog, if anybody is aware of his channel, for kind of inspiring me to decide to take my time when I talk about Blu-ray reviews or film. I'm going to do a long overdue Blu-ray review of Michael Mann's Heat, the definitive director's edition, starring Al Pacino, Robert DeNiro, and Val Kilmer. And this came out in, I believe, last year. Did it come out last year? So much happened last year. Yes, it did. So much did. But I finally got around to watching it now. Finally got around to watching it now and watching the special features. This has all the special features that were on the 2004, 2005 2-disc DVD edition. I think it was around that time. It has the special features, and those carried over to the Blu-ray that came out in 2009. This one has two new special features. One, a panel discussion hosted by Christopher Nolan at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino there on the panel. Great to hear Robert De Niro being shy and not wanting to talk about anything as far as the character. And then a Q&A at the Toronto International Film Festival with Michael Mann. And this is a new 4K transfer of the 2009 cut. The only difference is they lost a line of dialogue. One line of dialogue. It's a classic. Still a classic. I remember when the film came out in the fall of 95. Fall or Christmas of 95. That Christmas season, that fall, winter movie season, you had a number of long films that came out. This being under 3 hours. Then you had Scorsese with Casino and Oliver Stone with Nixon. Those were films that had pretty big budgets and were opened up on 1,000+ screens, you know? Maybe not Nixon, that did have a platform, but Casino and Heat had big budgets and were given wide releases. Something that you don't hear of nowadays. Hopefully you've seen this film. If you haven't seen it, you need to see it. It is a classic. Vincent Hanna, the Al Pacino character, is a Los Angeles police department detective. Third marriage, on a downward spiral with that marriage. And Robert De Niro plays Neil McCauley. Professional criminal. Well-funded. He's got a crew. And that's what they do for a living. But they are really good at what they do. And because of a Brinks heist, Pacino's now on the prowl to find Neil McCauley and take him down. That's the whole gist of it. The thing is, I don't really want to call it a crime film. It's a crime epic. It's epic in scope. It's a big film, huge in scope. And you learn a lot about the characters. Not just Pacino and De Niro's characters, but the Val Kilmer character, Chris, and how he's trying to keep a marriage going and he can't because of his gambling habit. You learn about Al Pacino and his third wife. He is lost in this world of crime, and she doesn't seem to get it, but then again, he doesn't seem to get her. All he's got to do is keep her informed on his life. Hey, I'm fine. This is what happened, and he doesn't want to tell her that. My favorite part in the film, and I have to, or my favorite line of dialogue Pacino says to his wife, who's played brilliantly by Diane Venora. I got 3 dead bodies out on Venice Boulevard, Justine. I'm sorry if the goddamn chicken got overcooked. But it's such a brilliant performance. You sense the loneliness of his character. Natalie Portman, who even at such a young age was giving stellar performances, especially in Luc Besson's The Professional. Here it's another one. She's just so... She needs a father. And her real father's not giving her the time of day. So you learn about all these characters. Robert De Niro's character as Neil Macaulay. He's a zero. As he says, I'm paraphrasing, he's a zero starting at nothing. Doesn't have a girlfriend. He has an apartment that only has a few dishes in it and a coffee pot. He meets this girl at a coffee shop one day, played by Amy Brenneman, and he falls in love with her. And he knows what he's doing. That's all he knows how to do. But he's now found a purpose and a reason to live in his life. So you sympathize with him or empathize with him, and you empathize with Al Pacino. So when the big scene happens smack dab in the middle of the film where the cop and the criminal meet for coffee, you understand where they are both coming from, and you kind of are rooting for the both of them. One of my favorite scenes in the film is when the cops and Al Pacino are putting them under surveillance, and the criminals, Neil Macaulay's crew, played by Danny Trejo, Tom Sizemore, brilliant performance by Tom Sizemore, Val Kilmer. They're all out at dinner with their families. And it's a different world from what you've seen in Goodfellas even. Or even in Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, which this crew I would probably say is more like, because they've all done time. They're out at dinner, and it's a normal family get-together.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
These guys, and even their wives know what they're doing. They know, but it's their job. This is a job. This is how I'm making my money. You know, is it right? Probably not. But I love what I'm doing, and I'm good at it. This is what I know how to do, and I'm providing a good life for my family. That scene is mirrored later on by Al Pacino and his detectives out at dinner and dancing and having a great time. There's a lot of mirroring going on here. So Heat is really a big film, and you really care about all of the characters in the film. The film has not aged one bit, even though it's the mid-90s. It has not aged. Anamorphic 2:35 aspect ratio. It's one of two films that Michael Mann filmed in Panavision, true anamorphic widescreen. The other films, like Manhunter, was shot in the widescreen Super 35 format. Same thing with The Insider. Ali was widescreen but shot in multiple formats, but true anamorphic on this. And this film is about close-ups. Yes, there are brilliant vistas of the LA skyline, but as far as locations, he didn't use typical LA locations. 4K transfer, this is the best it's looked. It was shot on film, so there is a film-like quality to it. It's like you were looking at a brand new print of the film. Beautiful transfer. And a lot of blues. In fact, that's the color I associate the most with this. You think it being LA, a lot of warm colors, but it's a lot of nights. And usually in the desert, not so much in Arizona, but usually in the desert, gets cooler at night. So there's a lot of nights in here, so you get a lot of cooler colors in this film. .1 DTS Master Audio. I've become a fan of Dolby Atmos, and I wish they would go back and redo a lot of the movies in Dolby Atmos, but DTS Master Audio is just as good for the home. It's 5.1. The movie is very front-heavy. A lot of dialogue, a lot of score, a lot of music, but a lot of dialogue. So there's not a lot of big helicopters and stuff like that flying overhead. But when they're on, they're on. the opening Brinks truck heist. A lot of low frequency information on that. So your subwoofer is going to be working overtime on that. I love it. Scenes with the helicopter. There are some great surround effects during that. Where the surrounds come into play, it's during the bank heist shootout in the middle of, I think it's downtown LA, with bullets ricocheting everywhere. You sound like you are right there. It feels like and sounds like you're right there in the middle of the street. The ending sequence that takes place at the LAX airfield with planes flying overhead, great use of surrounds in that sequence. So this film has never looked or sounded better, in my opinion. It's a classic. If you do not have Heat in your catalog and you are a lover of film and a lover of epics and a lover of crime epics and a lover of just great acting, great performances, great story that takes its time and you get to know all the characters, you need to see Heat. You need to have this in your catalog. So, that is my Blu-ray review of Michael Mann's Heat. And stick around. I'm going to be doing a Director of the Month and doing videos for the films that I think are the main films in their body of work. I'm going to focus on 3 separate videos and do an overview, a 4th video of that director. It's a bit ambitious. But I'm going to try. Thank you all for coming to this corner of my channel, the Film Geek Corner. I'll see you on the next one.